How you doing? How you feeling?
Good. Lots of lessons were learned this last
Oh,
week.
oh no. Should test your
No.
boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Which I was just talking to Dennis earlier today.
Oh, perfect.
I think it's just like I think it just takes me longer to recover
Yeah.
ultimately, which is
Yeah.
frustrating. But no, I felt way better last week, and I did like a little intervals session. I was a lot more mindful of um my hydration.
So
Yeah, coconut water seems to be the hack for that for
good.
me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so, stoked about that. Yeah, I did intervals, I skied the weekend before that, did some Nordic skiing, and then did a longer kind of endurance-y ride. I mean, long for me now is 3 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that, and then we went to Moab and rode with some friends, and
Oh,
nothing, like,
fun.
super intense, but then by the ride on Sunday in Moab, I was smoked and was
Mm-hmm.
getting, like I definitely was getting some headaches last week, um,
Okay.
and I did ask my doctor about that. She's not concerned with preeclampsia, but yeah, it could have been so many different things from sleep, hydration, all of it. So,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
kind of another symptom. So,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
this
But you're
week I was
still,
just kind of tired. Like
yeah.
I've been going to strength class, but
Nice.
that's pretty much all I've been able to do. Yeah.
Great. And I saw you journaled on, I think it was Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday.
I know I've
But
tried to
that's
fill
great.
in as much as possible.
Okay.
But honestly, like my meals those days, like Monday and Tuesday, that's pretty much how I eat every day. Like
Hmm.
a combination of like yogurt, fruit, granola, some cereal, some toast,
Hmm.
protein occasionally, like in addition to that, not like a huge lunch, like sometimes I'll do eggs, and then chicken or beef at night.
Okay. Great. Are you
Yeah.
still finding like regular small meals is better for
Yeah.
the, yeah, okay, good. I've been
Yeah,
looking
that's
at this. This looks good.
I switched my prenatals, so I need to
Okay.
enter those. Okay, we're doing prenatal pro.
Let me get in here. Is that the Designs for Health?
Yes.
Great. And then what's the next one?
And then the next one, I'm doing the Thorn phosphatidal.
Oh yeah,
Tadiol.
phosphatidylcholine
Yes, choline.
for research. Yep. And is that one gel cap a day?
Yes. And then I'm doing 2 momentous omega 3s.
See if that's in here. Oh yeah, it's great. Two soft gels. Got
Wait, maybe
it.
I'm doing yeah, no, 2. Yeah.
Okay. And that's it? Nothing else?
Mhm.
Okay, great. So from a macro lens, awesome. Protein looks really good. Monday was a rest day, right?
Yeah, Monday's definitely, like, my least active day.
Okay. So these targets are based off of a 15-hour training week in the first
Yeah, I
trimester.
think
So
we're
actually, volume wise, looking at training peaks, it looks like you hit almost 16 last week.
oh,
Yeah.
well, that's why I feel so tired this week.
Yeah. The week before that, 14, 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, so I am getting more than I thought.
17, 20, 13. Yeah. So we'll stick with it. I'm not going to change it then.
Yeah, this week I'm
Um,
definitely I would say is more of a rest week for me.
Okay. A little deload. That's good. That's totally fine. Um, and then trimester wise, where are you at this
Yeah,
point?
so I'm 16 weeks now.
Ooh,
I know, trucking
oh my
along. We're
God.
almost halfway there.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's
The
right.
second trimester, um,
Okay.
solidly now.
Yeah, you're in it.
Yes.
We'll take a look at micros here in a second, but from an energy lens, so we'll still base targets off of a 15-hour training week until you tell me otherwise.
Okay.
And then certainly keep me looped in on hunger, right? Because that usually it's like the third trimester we want to start to bump up the calories, but
Okay.
and make sure we're supporting that. Like, so when the baby like really starts growing, literature now is really like third trimester really is the only stage for an increased caloric demand.
Really? Okay.
And it is like 300 to maybe 450 calories.
Wow.
So, but like you're like a smaller human, so I think your
Hmm.
energy needs would be on the lower end of that 300 to
Right.
450 need. But
Right. I
and then once you're breastfeeding, well, I should say if you're going to breastfeed and
right.
milk supply and all that, that is also that's a also an increased caloric demand phase. Like even though you're not
Mm,
growing a baby anymore, there's a lot of things going on. Your body's healing, which it requires increased
mhm.
energy demand off the bat, and then two, if you're breastfeeding, your body needs to produce breast milk and have
Right.
energy availability to do so, and so
Yeah.
that increases that demand to
Interesting.
post.
And is that
Yeah.
when you like your body's like really using a lot of that extra weight that you put on? Like it's really cranking through calories at that point.
Yeah, to make milk, yeah, you have to have energy available to do
Hmm.
it. Otherwise, you'll notice your breast milk supply to be like will be really low or intermittent or not enough.
I have heard that women just plow food when they're
Yes,
breastfeeding.
and you will be very thirsty too. You'll be
Crazy. I mean, it
drinking,
makes sense.
yeah, to produce the milk. But yeah, so um and yeah, your body's also just healing so much and it's changing like the fluid balance in the body. And so a lot of that will move the number on the
Right.
scale too, because
Right.
everything kind of like starts to shift back. I have another client right now, and she's like, we had her on a breastfeeding target and she just kept losing weight, even though we were still in excess of her maintenance for what she was doing for breastfeeding. And the big thing we were monitoring is just her breast milk supply. And she would let me know, like, we went into a little bit of a deficit to like, because the weight was plateauing postpartum, but and then like she said her milk supply slowed down, so then we went back, and then breast milk supply responded immediately, and like so we just kind of have to be monitoring that depending on, yeah, if you are breastfeeding or
Crazy.
not, and how we're navigating, if what all your goals are and all that stuff too
Yeah.
afterwards. But um yeah, so I mean, looking at this, like, again, protein looks really solid. This burrito bowl, like, that's a ton of protein at that meal. Did you feel full at
I
all
don't,
from
I
that?
just like, yeah, I'm not totally sure if that like has all of the correct
Okay.
amounts. I just looked for a burrito bowl.
Yes. Okay.
But I
Gotcha.
mean, when I order it from our local, it's sort of like Chipotle, but a local version. I think slightly healthier, local sourced ingredients. But I order it with a half a scoop of the carne asada steak and then a half a scoop of chicken. That's the thing, like with the apps that I just like glitch out anytime I have to eat out. Like last weekend, I had a green chili cheeseburger one day, and it was from this local spot, so it's just hard to
Yeah.
find that information.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think journaling to some degree can help give us a rough idea, right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
it gives us a little bit of something. And if you're having a serving of, you think you said chicken, a serving of carne asada
Mhm.
steak or something like that, like that might be 60
Yeah,
grams
it
of
could
protein. It could
be.
be like 30 grams each,
Yeah.
depending on how large those portions are. And then if there's beans in there, that's a protein source. Yeah, I would, again, just like looking at this, like from a overall daily protein lens, awesome. And then if there are those moments where you're like, man, I'm feeling like overly full, I have that like pressure, or
Mm-hmm.
heartburn feeling or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
usually we're looking at, fats, fiber, and protein are the things that will like stay in your stomach longer or make you feel full for longer. And so we still need those things, of taking those and like distributing them more evenly might play
Okay.
in favor to helping you hit
Yeah,
those targets.
I think I need to start doing like more like this was a unique day because we went out for lunch and I like got a bigger lunch, which I actually prefer doing that to like a big
Yeah.
dinner.
Yeah.
Because like dinner, it's so weird. Like chicken, like we even had like a chicken Caesar salad last night, and like I could bear it. Like it's so weird. Like protein, like
Mhm.
chicken's pretty much out, but I eat
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
I know I need it. But I think
Yeah.
earlier in the day I seem to do better with it. But
How is the nausea? Is that subsided?
it's way less. I actually like I feel like I was only nauseous like once last week, and I've just been really tired this week mostly.
Yeah.
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 And
Okay.
I could have maybe overdone it last week a little bit, but I also like she was like sometimes the baby just like starts like it has little growth spurts and you're just like
Yeah.
tired from
Yeah.
that. So I think it could have just been one or the other or both. So it's
Hmm.
just hard to know, but like I mean, when you're like pregnancy tired, you can't push yourself to go for a ride.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think. I mean, it's also, like, hard to know because like, the weather has been kinda shitty, so
Yeah.
it's just not as motivating
Combo.
to ride.
Yeah. 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 I totally get that. I totally get that. Time to cuddle up and turn on
I
Netflix
know,
or
and I'm like,
something.
"Well, I'm not training for anything." I think
Yeah.
that's, like, what I've been struggling with this week is, I know that there are women that, like, can push themselves and, like, do through their pregnancy, and I think in some ways as a professional athlete, like, you sort of feel that pressure to prove it
Mm,
to yourself, and not that, like, everyone knows, because very few people know that I'm pregnant, but, like, just because some people, like, still race or, like, train 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, like, I don't know, I like in my mind, I'm like, "I don't need to do like, I'm not training for anything." It's not like I'm gonna
yeah.
line up for a race to win it, and,
Hmm.
like, I still wanna be active, and I'm excited to, like, go and participate at some of the, like, less like, lower distance events, but I don't know, I just am, like I'm having a hard time, like, figuring out what my thing is because like, part of me is like, "Well, I kinda wanna just enjoy this time and not have to be in crazy athlete mode." Um, but I still like riding and I still wanna be active because it makes me
Hmm.
feel better, but
For
I don't
sure.
need to like I don't have to train or do everything. I just have this like constant, because there will always be that person that's like, "Oh, well, so and so did the Traka 200 when they were 7 months pregnant," and they're not
Yes.
like trying to set that up
Yeah.
as a comparison, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Well, fuck, maybe I need to do the 200," but like riding 170 miles right now doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you have to listen to your gut and like your
Yeah.
brain has been trained for years of like
Mhm.
always in that mindset. Like, what's the next race? I'm training for this next thing. And so I'm sure that's like what your brain is gonna do a little bit of like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
what
think
am
you're
I
right.
supposed to be doing? So
Totally.
yeah, use this time to like, I mean, listen to your gut and like if it's
Mhm.
a time where you give your brain and body a break. I mean, I think a lot of times those breaks also like ignite that fire in athletes too, where like they come
Yeah.
back with like a like really strong passion
Yeah,
to like crush too when once they're done
totally.
with their break. So
Yeah, and, like yeah, I think it's hard because like, if you're in, like, the public eye at all,
mhm,
or, like I think it's just hard in general because like, there's always some version of comparison going on or, like, you feel like, "Am I overdoing it? Am I not doing enough?" Like, like, as a athlete, like, you're just like, "Well, I've been programmed this way, but, like, now I'm,
yeah,
like, having to swing this totally different way."
yeah,
It's really hard.
yeah. Your event is pushing out a baby.
I
For
know.
game
I
night.
think that
That's
that's
your
a really actually good way to look at it, like,
yeah.
we're training for a big goal here, which I do
Yes.
think, like, there have been like, this week, I did not wanna go to strength training at all, but I,
Mhm.
like, got my ass out there and did it,
Yeah.
and that's how I know I'm tired because if I'm, like
Yeah.
we're doing the, like, rope thing, and I'm like, "This is really hard."
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, the strength stuff is an interesting stimulus too compared to like an endurance bike.
Mhm.
It's very like central nervous system like firing
Oh, yeah.
too with resistance training typically. So yeah, you can get a
Mhm.
little bit more zapped than maybe you realize based off of the
Oh,
output or the
really?
duration of the session. Yeah.
Interesting.
And depending on how much muscle tissue damage was done and
Yeah.
needs to be recovered, it can maybe like feeling sore for a little bit longer or
For sure.
hungrier for longer, that kind of stuff. But
I've just been so tired.
yeah.
And it's just been like weird weather as well. And I think that all
Mhm.
really affects you.
Yeah.
Especially when you're when I feel good, it's really feels nice to go move.
I think you'll probably have those continued highs and lows, right? And I think it's
Hmm.
um, using those to your advantage. Rest when your body needs to rest, and when you feel good,
Yeah.
get out there and do it.
It's a lot of self-assessment, which like I think in some ways athletes are used to. but the goal is really, really different. And normally I'm more comfortable just pushing to the max end of things, but now you just look at things a lot differently.
Yeah, for sure. Well, keep me looped in on how you're
Okay.
feeling. I think too, looking at these targets for Monday. So say this week we did a 15-hour week, right? That would mean that we came in almost 300 calories shy on Monday. And if that's a regular pattern, then maybe we are maybe a little bit like under the mark energetically based off of the volume. Again, just like examples. Yes, there's like going to be higher energy demand moments, like your doctor was saying, when the baby's going through a growth spurt, and maybe you're feeling a little bit more fatigued or run down. Maybe it's the bigger volume, but is it a combo of like maybe where we kind of undershooting a little bit energetically during the bigger volume week, and is that an added layer on top of it? So just little things
Mm,
like that to like think about. And I know it's hard to journal during those times, but if we
yeah,
ever
I
felt like
need
we were under
to.
the mark.
I'm curious what you think. I asked my doctor about it, and then I sort of chatted with Dennis. I have noticed when I'm training, when I'm doing intervals, or if I'm going uphill or like doing something that's like hard and I feel like my heart rate's really high, I'll look like I was doing like over under intervals. My heart rate's
Mhm.
high, and
Yeah.
I look down and it's only 160, which
Okay.
I don't know. When I'm actually training as a normal person without a alien invader inside of me, it's like, high 80s.
High 80s instead of
Or sorry,
160s?
180.
180. Yes. Yeah. That a big piece of that is the blood plasma volume, is my
Okay.
guess, right? Like your body's increasing the
Okay.
amount
That's
of
what he said
water
as
in your
well.
blood. Then you just feel like daily hydration. You feel like the coconut water is helping big time now.
Yeah, I've been slamming coconut water and orange juice. Are sort of like,
Great.
yeah, yeah. And trying to be a little bit more mindful. It's been a little bit easier this week, just because I haven't been as active.
Hmm.
But when I'm riding, like last week, I was trying to like do a bottle at minimum. And what
Hmm.
I have noticed works a little bit better is if I drink a full bottle before I leave, and then I just try to get
Art.
one bottle in. But
Yeah.
I got a little
Great.
dehydrated on that Thursday ride. Um,
Okay. I love that.
yeah,
Yeah, there's recommendations in the literature from a prehydration lens, that it's 5 to 7 milliliters per kilogram body weight in the 30 to 60 minutes before you start exercise to make sure you're hydrated, because again, you like have more blood plasma volume to maintain.
you've yeah, second
That's good.
trimester is a much happier
Better.
place than the first
Good.
trimester. And I
Good.
started
Good.
going to
Good.
like a little prenatal class, yoga class, and it's really
Oh,
nice
fun.
to hear from I think any woman who's been pregnant and you're like, "Yeah, I'm out of my first trimester." They're like, "Oh, good." I think it
Yeah.
just sucks for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you went into pregnancy very healthy too, I think is a really good thing. So,
Yeah, I think the best thing that my doctor said yesterday and that you have told me and my coach, you just listen to your body still. And you don't do anything crazy that you didn't do before pregnancy? So,
yeah. Well, I'm super stoked you're into that second trimester and feeling better. And
yeah.
like I said, do keep me looped in. Like if you do get opportunities, I know it's hard with traveling to journal, but
Yeah, I
you
need
know,
to just like have it on the forefront of my brain and just
yeah,
do my
and just
best.
like yeah, see, because just to make sure we're not under fueling too, I
Okay.
think is kind of the piece I'd want to monitor the
Okay.
most. And then micro wise, you're crushing it, like
Cool.
especially with
Well, it's
the
good to know that this combination of prenatals is I'm getting enough of everything. God, that took
yeah,
hours of research.
yeah. To fine tune it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those look really, everything there looks really good. Omegas look really good. Like, super happy with that. So yeah, and then you keep me looped in on energy, hunger cues, all that stuff. If we think the volume's going to change, we'll make some adjustments there. And then, so that means like you would be going into your third trimester. What is that? Like early May, end of April?
Let me look.
Thinking we would want to bump up those
Yeah,
calories
that's a good
potentially.
that is a good
I mean, we
time
can
to
go
look.
based too off of how you feel, and if you're hungrier, cravings are stronger.
7. May 7th.
Sweet. Okay. So we'll game plan for that kind of being the potential weekly change stuff, but we'll obviously be monitoring in the meantime. If you're getting hungrier, again, cravings are coming up, if you're
Yeah,
feeling more consistently flat, stuff like that, I want to know and see where volume's at too from a training lens.
cool. As my baby will be the size of a coconut.
All that coconut water is going to
I
turn
thought,
into a
yeah,
little
I'm growing a
coconut.
little coconut.
Yeah, super rich in potassium too.
Oh,
The
fabulous.
coconut water. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
super
try
good
and
one.
add in some magnesium to the
Hmm.
diet as well, just because
Okay.
that was like one of the recommended things that can help with headaches. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Magnesium. I mean, obviously manage your hydration. That'll be a big thing. And then they say, I'll double check this for pregnancy, but they say magnesium oxide is better for people who have headaches versus magnesium citrate or bisglycinate or chelate or stuff like that. I'm
Wait,
not sure if
what's
there
the
would be
one
a
I
different
should look at?
magnesium oxide.
Okay.
And I would just double check that that one's like that form is fine during pregnancy.